Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tabor Talk. I'm your host, Michael Tabor. I did a few videos on Trump. I actually showed quite a few videos on Donald Trump Jr. But anyway, let me just get right into this. So, our president is a moron. We all know that. He's unfit for this job, of course. That's an understatement, for Christ's sakes. The guy belongs in jail. He's a criminal. He's a moron. He's an uneducated, vulgar punk. This is really, really funny. So his staff members, people around him, his aides, try to keep him away from stuff because he's dumb. He gets confused very easily. Like, even when there's something important, and he needs to read documents, he doesn't read anyway. So... okay, let me just play this and I'll comment. It's from David Pakman's show. By the way, I'm getting Loom video recording next month. You'll be able to use Loom on iOS devices. So you won't see me just holding up my phone like this. I'll actually embed it right into the video. So, okay, this is funny. It's sad too, but ready?
To this yesterday on the members-only bonus show that there's growing concern among Donald Trump staffers about how they can avoid confusing him. And the extent to which Donald Trump is confusable is a growing area of concern for the people that are working around him on a daily basis. One such example is that Donald Trump's aides were looking for Twitter to put in place a 15-minute delay on Donald Trump's tweets.
Good strategy.
They could maybe be canceled or fixed or modified before they go out. I'll get to that in a moment.
Good strategy.
But there's a really interesting storyline that's growing from reporting by Politico and others about how Donald Trump is being kept away from certain people simply to avoid confusing him. And it's like dealing with a 9-year-old kid. And in fact, I would argue it's actually like dealing with a cognitively limited 9-year-old kid. Here's an example.
Very good.
Shortly after Ukrainian President Zelensky was elected, an actual Ukraine expert, the whistleblower that we now know as Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, who's at the center of a lot of controversy right now, Vindman was set to brief Donald Trump about Zelensky. Why? Well, it made sense. Vindman is an actual Ukraine expert. Trump needs to know what's going on in Ukraine. It makes sense to have an expert brief Trump about that issue. Trump staffers, at the last second, told Vindman, you know what? Don't show up. Trump will become confused by your presence because Donald Trump is under the impression that this other guy, Kashyap Patel, is actually the expert on Ukraine. Now, what's hilarious is that Kashyap Patel is not an expert on Ukraine. Patel was a Devin Nunes staffer. Devin Nunes, of course, the completely bogus and disgusting and depraved Republican congressman. Kashyap Patel has no expertise on Ukraine. He has no knowledge on Ukraine. But Donald Trump believed that Kashyap Patel was the expert on Ukraine. And staffers said, if Vindman shows up to talk to Trump about Ukraine, Trump will become confused, so they tell Vindman, don't show up, even though Vindman is actually the Ukraine expert. This is tragic. This is sad. But it's also disturbing when it comes to, in order to avoid confusing Trump, people who aren't actually our real experts on subject matter are being chosen to brief Trump, and the real subject matter experts are being kept out of the entire thing.
This is just beyond words.
Here's another example. It's the Twitter thing, which I mentioned. Donald Trump's aides, at one point, were considering asking Twitter to effectively reprogram the way that the platform works just for Donald Trump's account to instate a 15-minute delay on Donald Trump's tweets.
This is what we're dealing with.
And they wanted to do it without Trump's knowledge. And what was going on is that Donald Trump's tweeting was obviously so problematic.
He's so stupid.
And staffers were struggling with how to manage it. Trump was obviously not going to allow someone the power to okay or not okay his tweets.
What happened to our country? How did this happen?
Let's secretly go to Twitter and let's have them put a 15-minute delay.
Look at that dumb face, Trump.
And during those 15 minutes, staffers presumably would be able to either edit tweets, delete them, talk Trump out of them, whatever the case may be. Understand the scope of this, where Trump is so erratic in his behavior, but also reacts so negatively to any attempt at controlling or modifying his behavior, that staff were looking at asking one of the largest social media platforms in the world to program in functionality just for Donald Trump's account, specifically to avoid the embarrassment and problems that Donald Trump is causing. Never mind, by the way, how potentially abused the tool could be. Imagine if you were one of Trump's staffers and you see that Donald Trump writes a tweet and you've got 15 minutes to act on that tweet. And you know that it's a tweet that could, for example, tank the stock price of a publicly traded company. During those 15 minutes, you could go and short that stock to make a financial gain, windfall really, from what you now can predict pretty safely, because Donald Trump's tweets move the markets, will be an upcoming shift in a share price.
That's unbelievable.
It's dangerous. Yep. It's stunning that this is something that they would even consider asking a platform like Twitter to do. And the reality is something that we've known for a long time. The people around Donald Trump have to treat the guy like, as I said, a poorly behaved or even cognitively limited kid.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that he is, a wealthy 73-year-old white guy born with a silver spoon in his mouth who has not ever known any actual adversity in his entire life, and yet still believes that he is the greatest victim of the unfairness of the world, as he constantly talks about witch hunts and presidential harassment and how unfairly he's treated by the media. It is like dealing with a kid. That is what staffers are increasingly describing. Sad, but dangerous as well.
Exactly. Boy, David Pakman is amazing. God, I wish I had half of his communication, verbal skills. It's the way he communicates. He is brilliant. The way he just summed it up, the way, a 9-year-old who's cognitively limited, poorly behaved, and Trump, he's always the victim, despite the fact that he's been born with a silver spoon, has never known any diversity. You got to admit, this David Pakman is just the best. Okay, good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding here on Tabor Talk.